So, have you ever been given a dataset that has to be graphed, but you're not quite sure how? Well, in today's video, that's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how to make a simple line graph in Google Sheets. This is a very similar technique for Excel. The reason I chose Google Sheets is because with online learning, a lot of schools have adopted Google Classroom and the Google infrastructure, so it's just very easy to translate doing that. So this is pretty simple. It's going to be very basic. I'm just going to go over how to make the graph, how to make changes to the graph, some good graphing practices, and whatnot. So here I have some positions and time. So this is a position over time graph. You might see a lot of these in physics. And I want to make a graph. So I'm going to highlight all of these components. I'm going to go to Insert. And go to Insert, Insert a Chart. Now here, it inserts this chart. So I have time on my X and position on my Y. So position is actually called X, but it's on the Y because the position is dependent on time. So the dependent variable is always on the Y axis. And so this is pretty straightforward. It's going at a constant velocity for the first 4 seconds, and then it stays in one place for 2 seconds before exponentially traveling back to the origin and then a little bit past. And so we have a lot of different options for editing this chart. So we can change the type. I've chosen a line chart. You can do an area chart. You can do scatter, column. So I'm just choosing time line. You can choose the data range, which I did by just highlighting all of these. You can aggregate the data. In this case, that doesn't make sense. You can switch the rows and columns, so if it didn't go in the way you wanted, you can do that. And then you can also adjust the headers either here, or you can just click here to change. So you can adjust the chart title, subtitle, and the axis titles either here, or like I said, by clicking here. There's a lot of formatting options. And so you can adjust the chart style, different like border colors. You can make it smooth, which I think I'll do. There's a lot of options. Here you have the series. You can change the colors. Maybe you want pink. You can change what type of line. If you want like a dashed line, solid line, line thickness, all of that. You can also add a trend line. So if you're plotting different points and you're just looking for the overall trend, and you can use this trend line here. In this case, it doesn't make sense, but it can sometimes. You can add labels. And for the trend line, it's nice because you can show R. So you can show what that trend is. Again, in my current example, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it is very helpful in a lot of cases when you're dealing with trends, obviously. There's the legend, so you can choose where you want this to be. If you want the bottom, and so you can adjust the individual axes, mostly just formatting stuff. Generally, you can leave this alone. And for grid lines and ticks, you can adjust, if you want minor grid lines, you can adjust like how precise the grids look. And then there's ticks, which are these little things. So it's pretty straightforward. There's you have a lot of formatting options, but the general, I guess, to have an effective chart, you don't really have to mess with most of these settings, but they are nice to have. And I think that graphs like these are really good. I know I use them in physics a lot. used them in chemistry before. And so I think it's just a very useful skill to have. So if you're doing a lab, or if you just want to impress your teacher, I highly suggest using this tool. And the nice thing is, in Google, if you want to put it into like a document, so you have Untitled document, random lab jazz, as you're talking about it, you can copy this, so Control C, and then just paste it, and it will link to the spreadsheet if you want it. No, I don't want to link that. That can be helpful, but I want to link this graph. I should be able to. There we go. And so if I make any changes, say I got rid of this trend line, I just don't like the trend line. It's not. So if I go to the series and I go to trend line, I unclick it. Then if I go back to my document and update it, it updates. So you can have this pasted in your document before it's even done, which I think is really cool. And again, just is why I'm using the Google infrastructure in this case. So I hope that kind of helps explain how to make a a line graph using Excel. Hope this can help in some of your classroom endeavors, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks, guys. Bye.